Welcome to the Heritage and Model Rail channel. In 2019 I videoed over 150 layouts at model railway exhibitions in England and Scotland. Finally, I have to make the difficult choice of my favourite 10 layouts of 2019. From a selection of 40 shown in other videos, I have arrived at my 10 favourites of 2019. If you are new to my channel, start now and become a subscriber. Don't forget the bell icon for notifications. You can view the following layout Purbeck here. Modelled in 009 4mm scale, 9mm gauge, and exhibited by John Thorne.
This is my layout Purbeck, which is a layout which represents the ball clay industry of the Isle of Purbeck in Dorset. The line was used for transporting ball clay and survived until about 1970. All the stock is scratch built, engines, wagons, coaches, etc., and buildings. And the idea of the layout was to represent the ball clay industry, which is mining, weathering and then processing the clay, but at the same time extend the layout so that we could run a range of narrow gauge items on the line. There are a number of prototypical items that we use on the layout, such as models of the original engines, models of the original wagons. There's a model of the original foreman's hut. So mixed with authenticity is a little bit of whimsy.
Here you can view the O gauge layout, St George's Dock, exhibited by Alan Gray. In 1935, men had to queue up early to see if they could get work for the day. There was not so much employment to be had, and it was hard, dirty and heavy work, unloading ships by hand or labouring in the dry dock. Life was rough and uncomfortable. Food and housing were a challenge, and this is what is depicted in this layout. It was inspired by an old photograph of a steam trawler in a dry dock. The old Victorian warehouse is a cardboard kit, with the other buildings and track work scratch built. Ships are made from a variety of materials, include a collier, a coaster and a coaling ship, as well as various fishing vessels. Locos are kits or scratch built, with cardboard tram cars running up and down the street. The layout hopefully shows the rundown conditions of things in the 1930s depression. Here you can view the O gauge layout, Le Treport, exhibited by John and Peter Smith. Is a real town just inland from the resort and port of Le Treport, but there was never a loco shed there. It was used as a plausible base for the layout, so a wide range of SNCF motive power from the 1950s could be displayed. The layout features an SNCF shed in the mid-1950s, based around Le Treport in France. The layout is O gauge fine scale and uses lens DCC for control. It is 22 foot long by 3 foot wide, built on a slight curve to make it more interesting. Here you can view Dentdale, an N gauge layout exhibited by Bob Taylor, Wayne Webb and Tony Fraser. The layout is inspired by the moorland sections of the Settle to Carlisle Railway in the Yorkshire Dales. Dentdale runs from the north entrance of the Bleemore Tunnel, crosses the Dent Head and Arton Gill viaducts, ending at Dent Station. The station and signal box have been reversed for better viewing. The layout consists of 5 boards and is 19 foot long. All buildings and viaducts are scratch built. The layout is analogue, controlled by 2 operators. Rolling stock is a mixture of Graham Farish, Dapple and N Gauge Society models. My thanks to Wayne Webb who supplied the information. Here you can view the layout Eaglesham, modelled in 00 gauge and exhibited by Bill Auld from the 12 AD Model Railway Group. Eaglesham is a 4mm 00 gauge layout set to the south of Glasgow in 1912. The layout features a station with run-round loop, goods yard with shed, and cattle dock and rail-served dairy. The real village of Eaglesham was never connected to the rail network, although there are at least 3 proposals mooted, but none of these ever came to fruition. The track plan is based upon East Kilbride, as it was at the turn of the 20th century. This was chosen because although East Kilbride looked like a through station, it was never operated as such, and was a terminus for trains from Glasgow and trains from Hamilton. The track work is a mixture of SMP Code 75 plain track with hand-built point work. Recently the train control has been upgraded to DCC and the point control to servos, along with a full rewiring. Total size is 28 feet by 2 feet over 7 boards, 5 scenic and 2 fiddle yard boards. Pre-grouping ready-to-run rolling stock is somewhat thin on the ground, so all locos, passenger and goods stock have been built from kits from a variety of sources, or are scratch built. Locos in passenger and freight liveries, representing small yard shunters to express passenger and heavy freight examples, can be seen on Eaglesham. Passenger stock varies from 6-wheel to bogie examples in different liveries, and goods stock in a motley collection of private owner and company vehicles. My thanks to Bill for supplying the information. Here you can view the N Gauge layout Scarlington, exhibited by Scarborough and District Railway Modellers. Scarlington is a continuous loop layout giving a generic feeling of the north in the late 1970s and early 1980s. It is a follow-on from the highly successful layout North of England Line 1, Scarworth Junction, also in N Gauge. After 8 years of work, this show is its first public outing. The layout measures 5.5 metres by 600mm in the scenic area, with a further 300mm for the fiddle yard. Buildings are a mixture of scratch built and kits. Bridges are laser cut MDF. The cliff lift, modelled on the one at Scarborough, uses 2 jam jar lids as pulleys to avoid tangling the string that lifts the cable car. Track is Pico Code 55 with large radius points. Control is analog DC throughout, with stock from Graham Farish and Dapple. The road signs were made by Sankey Scenics from drawings provided by the club. My thanks to Jeff for providing the information. At the end of the show, trophies were awarded to some of the exhibitors. The Lind Trophy for the best N Gauge layout, the Exhibitors Trophy, judged by other exhibitors at the show, and the Kerr Cup, voted for by the public, were all won by the Scarlington layout. Here you can view the Scarborough and District Railway Modellers 00 gauge layout, Durham Street. The layout had its first public showing at the Falkirk Model Railway Exhibition in November 2019, where this video was filmed. Durham Street depicts a busy northeast engine shed in the early 1960s, with new diesel locos mixing with rapidly disappearing steam engines. This show is the first public exhibition of the layout, having only been viewed previously at a local club event. The layout has been put together by 4 members who had no previous experience of modelling in 00 gauge. It has taken 3 years to construct. It is a 7-metre end-to-end layout with an unusual arrangement at each end of the 6 boards. As you look at the layout on the left, there is a short multi-track fiddle yard, which is a traverser. At the other end of the layout is an electrically driven turntable, which is part of the scenic display. All buildings are scratch built, with the main shed being constructed from a material called Fomex, glued together with pipe cement. The textured brick covering was sourced in Greece and glued on with Yoo-hoo glue. Track is C&L fine scale with DCC control across 4 operators by Digitrax. Points are tortoise. There are 2 switch panels which are synchronized together. When a point is changed, it is reflected on the other panel and also on each hand controller. Yard lights are supplied by RM Electronics, and items like the water tower were laser cut. Stock has been sourced from LH Lovelace, Fine Scale Brass, 55H, Heljan, Dapple and Gladiator. My thanks to Ian Harper from the club for supplying the information. You can view the following layout Almond Bridge here, modelled in 00 gauge and exhibited by the Perth Model Railway Group. Almond Bridge is a fictional location situated somewhere in mainland Britain and is set in modern times, covering the period from the 1980s to the current day scene. This time frame allows for the display of rolling stock from the British Rail blue-grey era to the ever-changing liveries of the privatised railway companies which currently operate throughout the UK. Whilst the town name is fictitious, the main track plan is loosely based on that at Stirling, circa 2003, and modeller's licence has been liberally applied to add additional tracks, a loco refuelling stabling point, permanent way and commercial freight sidings and platforms. The track and point motors are standard Pico. The buildings are proprietary card and plastic kits modified to fit the scene. The 9-arch viaduct was made by utilising and adapting 3 proprietary card single-line viaduct kits glued onto a wooden and ply frame. The girder bridge is built around a wood frame and pillars, using multiple plastic kits for the superstructure. The storage yard baseboards have been built as a universal unit and can be used in a 4, 5 or 6 board configuration, depending on the requirements of the display layout. This eliminates the need to build separate storage yards for future display layouts, which may be shorter than Almond Bridge. This 009 scale layout is Bron Hebog, exhibited by David and Rob Waller. Bron Hebog is a model of Bethgelert Station on the rebuilt West Highland Railway, depicted around 2009-2010, when the railway was reopened from Riddhu through Bethgelert and through the Aberglaslyn Pass to the south. It is more than just a model of Bethgelert Station and encompasses the first of the famous 1 in 40 S-bends climbing away from the north into the Bethgelert forest, and to the south the layout also features Goat Tunnel and the notorious Bridge to Nowhere, a relic of the ill-fated Porthmadog, Bethgelert and South Snowdon Railway. The finished layout is huge by 009 standards, with trains truly running through the landscape. The station itself with its passing loop is being built to scale, and the platform can accommodate an authentic length rake of 12 carriages behind one of the monster NGG 16s. The layout measures 20 feet by 10 feet across 14 boards and requires 3 operators. All buildings are scratch-built scale representations of rail buildings. Track is Pico with analogue control. Stock is 90% scratch built with some kits. My thanks to Rob and David for the information. Here you can view the layout James Street in N Gauge and exhibited by Steve Wright. This layout by any standards is spectacular and was my favourite layout of the whole International N Gauge Show 2019. James Street is an award-winning N gauge layout set in the period 1958 to 1962. Designed for four-sided operation, it takes 7 operators to run. There are 4 tracks which traverse the whole 22-foot by 12-foot rectangle. 2 operators control these. A double track has 1 operator, the terminus station has 1 operator, the goods yard has 1 operator, and the dockyard has 1 operator. There is 1 person in overall charge specifying which trains will be run. 5 operators stand in the middle of the layout, and the 2 other operators control from the outside. All control is analog DC. The 4 ships in the harbour are based on kit but heavily modified. Buildings are a mixture of kits and scratch build, with the roundhouse being a scratch build. All track is Pico Code 55. The layout has taken over 18 years to build so far and is still being added to. My thanks to Steve and his operators for supplying the information. To view more exhibition layouts, click on the playlist. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon.